Hello and welcome back to Pete's Couch. Today we're going to be looking at the Trail Talon 275. Now, as I've mentioned before, I find inov-8's range slightly confusing at times, and particularly when it comes to the naming, and this is definitely no exception. This is a relatively new shoe that they've decided to call the Trail Talon. Now, I've always associated Talons with the X Talon or Cross Talon, which has deep lugs that are made for deep mud. However, that doesn't necessarily represent the Trail Talon, which is more a reincarnation of the old Race Ultra, which is for more of a drier, not quite so muddy trail. To be honest, I was really disappointed that the old Race Ultras were discontinued because I really loved these. I wore them more than any other shoe last year, so I was really keen to find out how these new Trail Talons compared to these. So at first glance, they look pretty similar. They've a similar kind of shape. They both got inov-8 standard fit as opposed to their precision fit that they tend to put into the more technical X Talons, things like that. The lug depth is quite similar too. They're both about 4 millimeters. inov-8 say that the new ones in the Trail Talons have better multi-directional grip, but I wouldn't have said there's a massive amount in it. They're both built for pretty much the same thing. And they've got a similar amount of padding. So here with the Trail Talon, this is the 275, which has a 6mm footbed and an 8mm drop, so a heel to toe differential. But if you want to go with something slightly more minimal, you can go with the 250 Trail Talon, which has the same footbed, but then a 4mm drop, heel to toe differential. But although they're similar in terms of their drop and their padding, this is where the major difference for me lies with this new shoe. This actually feels way softer on the inside. They've done something that it kind of feels like it's quite inner-sole related. It just feels a lot squishier and a lot softer when you first put it on. And actually it feels incredibly comfortable from the first time you put it on. So where generally with every other inov-8 shoe I've ever worn is when you first put them on, they feel quite nice and solid inside. These feel more like a road running shoe. You know, they squish when you put your foot in, which is just a different feel. There's also a slightly different feel around the toe box compared to the old Race Ultras, which had a very airy feel to them. These are slightly more enclosed, but certainly by no means cramped. So I've got wide feet and I got on fine with them. One of the biggest visual differences is this plastic skeleton that wraps from the heel cup through to the middle of the shoe and attaches to the laces. That combination seems to be a really nice way to lock the foot in. I felt really secure. The way that the heel cup works is brilliant. I didn't have to do any lace locking techniques to make sure that I secured my heel down. It all just worked fine from a simple lacing structure. Even though it's just a little thing, the laces themselves are actually pretty different to what we've seen from inov-8 before. And they're actually really great. I'd say they're probably the best laces that I've seen on inov-8 shoes. They lock in tight without having to do a double bow. I certainly found in my old Race Ultras that they come undone unless I double bowed them. So this is definitely an improvement. Hidden to the side of the tongue, we've also got a really great improvement. We've got a gusset tongue, so that gusset stops debris going down there, but more importantly for me, it actually keeps the tongue in place. So I really hate it when tongues ride out to the side, so this keeps everything in position, and I love shoes that do that. Another interesting development with these is that they've made 3 different upper options. They've got the regular Trail Talon, they've got a Trail Talon with a Gore-Tex upper, and these are the Trail Talon Cool, which have got a more ventilated upper, which are apparently better in warmer weather. Of course, I haven't really, over the last couple of weeks, managed to test these in truly warm weather, but certainly in the frosty periods, I felt a really good cool breeze coming through the top. So come the summertime, I'm sure they'll be really great. So in terms of the testing, I've tried this out in all kinds of terrain. Some of it not necessarily appropriate for this shoe, but I really wanted to see how it performed in different conditions. And to be honest, it performed pretty much how I would expect it to. It's very, very similar to the old Race Ultra. So this really comes into its own on a dry, less technical trail, and it's brilliant on roads. And actually, this could quite easily double as a road shoe for me. It can handle a certain amount of surface mud, and actually it grips into that really nicely. But as soon as you come to a deeper mud or a more slippery mud, it does suffer pretty badly. And to be honest, that's where you're going to want to put an X Talon or a mud claw on. It's just not what this is built for. So I actually really personally loved it, and to the extent that having tested this size 12 out a lot, I decided that this was the shoe that I wanted to take to Marathon des Sables. And for that, I then bought a second version, which is a size up, so that I could have a little bit more room for my feet swelling, potentially for strapping my toes up, and also for stitching the gaiter onto the outside. So I've actually been running in dry conditions in this one quite a lot as well. And surprisingly, in a size 13 compared to my size 12, I didn't notice a massive amount of difference. Certainly around the toes, I was maybe a little bit more comfortable, but actually around the heel, where I was expecting there might be some slipping and I might have to lock those laces a little bit more, it's actually just great too. So I'd actually recommend possibly trying a couple sizing out and seeing how your comfort goes on each of them, because actually, to be honest, I think I do prefer these 13s now, and I never wear 13s, but so yeah, maybe experiment there a little bit. So I guess the question you've got to ask yourself is, do you need a shoe like this on top of your more traditional deep lugged obstacle racing shoe? And for me, clearly the answer is yes, because I wore my race ultras more than any other shoe last year. And that's partly because of training. You know, you're not always running around in super deep mud, especially through the summer. And also, you know, for those of us who are looking to do longer trail runs, you know, the half marathons, the marathons, the ultras, these kinds of shoes are going to be way better than running around in, you know, more of a technical, deep lug trail shoe. So in summary, I really like this shoe. In fact, so much so I bought a second pair. It's been a really difficult decision deciding what I'm going to take to MDS, and I'm actually really confident about this. So I'm sure not everyone is going to have MDS in mind, but it's also a really great shoe for you know, longer trail runs or training runs. So there it is. That is the Trail Talon 275. Thanks for listening. See you later.